Property tiles. These are the tiles Monopoly was built around. 22 of them, split across 8 color sets, wrapping around the entire board like a rigged racetrack. Every rent, every trade, every argument at the table starts here. Brown, Mediterranean Avenue and Baltic Avenue, positions 1 and 3, priced at $60 and $80. Cheapest tiles in the entire game, cheapest houses at $50 each. Hotel rents topping out at $450 on Baltic. Least landed on properties on the board. Nobody wants them. Everyone underestimates them. Light blue, Oriental, Vermont, and Connecticut Avenue, priced from $100 to $120. Houses, still $50 each. Cheapest full-color set to develop into a hotel row, which is exactly why experienced players fight for them early. Pink, St. Charles Place, States Avenue, and Virginia Avenue, priced from $140 to $160. Boosted by an advance to St. Charles Place chance card that reroutes traffic straight into the set. Orange, St. James Place, Tennessee Avenue, and New York Avenue, priced from $180 to $200. Statistically the strongest color set in the entire game. Positions 6, 8, and 9 spaces past the jail square, meaning every dice combination coming out of jail lands somewhere in orange territory. New York Avenue in particular is boosted by the Go Back 3 Spaces chance card, which fires players directly onto it from the chance tile at position 22. Red, Kentucky Avenue, Indiana Avenue, and Illinois Avenue, priced from $220 to $240. Illinois Avenue alone is the single most landed on property on the entire board at 3.19% per roll, well above the 2.86% board average. Yellow, Atlantic Avenue, Ventnor Avenue, and Marvin Gardens, priced from $260 to $280. Solid rent, decent traffic, caught between the red gauntlet before it and the green vault after it. Green, Pacific Avenue, North Carolina Avenue, and Pennsylvania Avenue, priced from $300 to $320. Most expensive full set to acquire at $920 before a single house is built. Houses cost $200 each. This is the tile group that burns cash and prays an opponent lands before bankruptcy hits. Dark blue, Park Place, and Boardwalk, priced at $350 and $400. Only 2 tiles in the set, meaning the fastest hotel row in the game if both are acquired. Boardwalk hotel rent tops out at $2,000, the single highest rent number printed on any tile in Monopoly. Every color is priced by distance from go. But the board isn't fair. Corner tiles, 4 spaces, 1 at every 90-degree turn of the board. These are the tiles that shape the geometry of every single game. Go, position 0, bottom right corner of the board. Every player passes it. Every player collects $200 each time they do. The only tile in the entire game that guarantees income no matter what. No dice math, no rent, no trade required. Land directly on it, still $200. It is the heartbeat of the game's economy. Every other rule, every other tile, works against you. This one works with you. Jail and just visiting, position 10. Statistically, the most landed on space on the entire Monopoly board at 5.89%, almost twice the rate of the next highest tile. And that number is only that low because it assumes players pay to leave as fast as possible. Stay longer and it climbs higher. There are 4 ways to end up in jail. Land on the Go to Jail tile. Draw the Go to Jail card from chance. Draw the Go to Jail card from community chest. Or roll 3 consecutive doubles in a single turn. That last one happens roughly 1 in 216 turns, which sounds astronomical until you realize a full game runs long enough that it will absolutely happen at least once. Just visiting is neutral. Jail costs $50 to leave, unless a get-out-of-jail-free card is played. Early game, escape as fast as possible. Late game, stay put and let opponents pay rent while you collect. Free parking, position 20. Officially does absolutely nothing. Zero income, zero penalty, zero mechanic. And yet the majority of casual Monopoly households play the house rule, where every tax payment and chance and community chest fine gets pooled into the center of the board, and the next player to land on free parking sweeps the entire pile. Hasbro has publicly confirmed this rule was never in the official rulebook. Go to jail, position 30. The single most feared movement tile on the entire board. Land on it, and the turn ends immediately. No passing go, no collecting $200, no chance to react. Directly to the jail square, 20 spaces backward across the board. It is a silent trap in the middle of a stretch of expensive properties. Tax tiles. There's two of them. Two pure loss tiles that give nothing back and take without discussion. Income tax, position 4. Sits 4 tiles past go. The current rule is a flat $200 charge. No negotiation, no dice roll, no choice. Historically, players had the option to either pay $200 or 10% of their total assets, whichever they preferred. $200 is exactly one full lap of go income. Land on income tax on the same turn you pass go, and the entire lap is erased. The rule also interacts with a specific chance card. The Go Back 3 Spaces card, drawn from the chance tile at position 7, sends players directly onto income tax at position 4. Luxury tax, position 38. The final trap of the entire board. Current rule is a flat $100 payment. Sits between Park Place at position 37 and Boardwalk at position 39. Meaning any player who has just survived the dark blue gauntlet, dodged a $2,000 hotel rent on Boardwalk by rolling the right number, still runs a real risk of hitting luxury tax on the very next turn. Luxury tax used to have a $75 payment attached to it in older editions, and some vintage boards still print that amount. The current standardized version prints $100. And there is no defense against either tile. The board simply reaches into your cash pile and takes. Both tax tiles combined sit at strategically chosen positions on opposite sides of the board, meaning no matter how much a player loops around, they will hit one within a few turns. They are the only tiles that give nothing back. And yet even they look generous, compared to the next category, which pretends to be income and barely delivers it. Utility tiles, electric company at position 12. Waterworks at position 28. Priced at $150 each. Both look like income tiles, both behave like decoration. Rules: rent is dice roll dependent. Own one utility, and the rent charged is 4 times the number rolled on the 2 dice. Own both utilities, and the rent jumps to 10 times the roll. Maximum possible rent from an opponent rolling a 12 while a player owns both utilities is $120. No way to boost the rent higher than dice math allows. The full $300 investment for both utilities can pay itself back in as few as 3 or 4 opponent landings, but the ceiling never scales with the game. While other tiles double, triple, and quadruple in value across the arc of the game, utilities stay locked at their original mechanic from turn 1 until the final bankruptcy. Waterworks has a slightly higher landing probability than Electric Company due to its position on the board. Sitting at position 28, it catches players coming out of the yellow and red rows on their way toward go to jail. Electric Company at position 12 catches players coming out of jail on their initial roll, but the traffic slows compared to Waterworks. Both tiles also carry a chance card interaction. The advance to nearest utility card sends the drawing player to whichever utility is closest, then forces a 10 times dice roll payment regardless of how many utilities the owner actually holds. That single card is the only way a utility ever charges anything close to premium rent. Editorially, the utility tiles occupy a strange space in Monopoly. Nobody wants to buy them. Nobody wants to pass on them. In auction, they consistently sell below market value because experienced players know the ceiling. In practice, they are the worst return on investment in the entire game, ahead only of buying Mediterranean Avenue without owning Baltic first. Railroad tiles, 4 of them. One on every side of the board, sitting at position 5, position 15, position 25, and position 35. Reading Railroad. Pennsylvania Railroad. B&O Railroad. Short line. Priced at $200 each. Just a rent table that scales by ownership. Own 1 railroad and rent is $25. Own 2 and rent is $50. Own 3 and rent is $100. Own all 4 and rent is $200 every single time an opponent lands. $200 is exactly what every player collects for passing go. Meaning a full railroad set doesn't just charge rent, it neutralizes the game's only guaranteed income source. Landing frequency. This is where the railroads become terrifying. B&O Railroad alone is landed on at 3.06% per roll, making it the second most landed on non-corner tile on the entire board. Reading Railroad follows at 2.99%. Pennsylvania Railroad at 2.91%. Shortline trails the group at 2.43% because none of the chance cards ever send players directly to it. Combined, the 4 railroads see a collective landing rate of roughly 64% across a full game, the highest visitation frequency of any tile group in Monopoly. And that number climbs higher because of the chance deck. 2 separate chance cards, Take a Trip to Reading Railroad and Advance to Nearest Railroad, send drawing players directly onto railroad tiles. The Advance to Nearest Railroad card also carries a hidden rule. If the railroad is owned by another player, the rent is doubled. Meaning a fully owned railroad set can charge $400 in a single visit from that 1 card interaction. Own a single railroad, and the average number of opponent rolls needed to earn back the $200 purchase price is 281 rolls. Own all 4, and that number crashes to just 35 rolls. That is one of the fastest payback windows in the entire game, faster than most color property developments even with houses. Editorially, the railroad tiles are the trap most new players walk directly into by dismissing them. Because they don't get houses, because they don't have colors, because they don't feel like real properties, they get ignored during early trades. And then the player who quietly assembled all 4 watches every opponent hand over $200 every time they pass go. Chance and community. Chess tiles, 6 positions total on the board. 3 chance tiles at positions 7, 22, and 36. 3 community chess tiles at positions 2, 17, and 33. Each deck contains 16 cards. That's 32 cards total, governing an entire 40-space board. Chance is the aggressive deck. Movement cards dominate. Advance to Boardwalk sends the drawing player to position 39, directly onto the highest rent tile in the game. Advance to Illinois Avenue sends players to position 24, which is exactly why Illinois Avenue is the most landed on property in the entire game at 3.19% per roll. Advance to St. Charles Place reroutes to Pink Set. Advance to Nearest Railroad sends the player to whichever railroad is closest, and doubles the rent if it is owned. Advance to Nearest Utility sends the player to whichever utility is closest, and forces a 10 times dice roll payment, regardless of how many utilities the owner holds. Go Back 3 Spaces is the most sneakily powerful card in the entire deck. And then there is Go to Jail. Same effect as the corner tile, but delivered as a card, straight to jail. Community Chest is the softer deck. Bank Error in your favor. Collect $200. Inheritance, collect $100. Doctor's fees, pay $50. Small payouts, small penalties, general chaos on a lower intensity than chance. Hasbro refreshed the Community Chest deck in 2022, replacing older cards like Grand Opera Night with modern equivalents like Rescue a Puppy and Community Garden, based on a public fan vote. It was the first major update to the Community Chest card contents in decades. Both decks contain a Get Out of Jail Free card, arguably the single most valuable non-property card in the entire game. It has no expiration, can be sold, can be traded, and can eliminate a $50 fine and up to 3 lost turns in a single play.